happens, Bud Crawford, oh, absolutely. We'll be there, Stephen A. We'll see Bud Crawford and Canelo. And I want to see that fight. But I would rather see him fight Benavidez. I agree with you.
Hitting punches, like just the whole stat. Crawford is leading. And so I do think that it's a tough fight, but I would lean more towards Crawford simply of his, skill set.
Power ain't gonna be able to sustain throughout the fight. Watch.
Shannon Sharpe didn't hold back as he warned Canelo Alvarez about the risks of facing Terence Crawford. Speaking live, he pointed out that although Crawford fights at 147 pounds, he has long sparred with bigger opponents and held his own impressively. Sharpe emphasized that Crawford moving up in weight only makes him more dangerous. His message was crystal clear. If Canelo underestimates Crawford, it could prove to be a costly and dangerous mistake.
Fighters, they're not going to give me my due because I'm going to have 3 or 4 losses. And that's what's happening. Guys won't fight anybody that the fans want to see or a fighter that's deserving. You're absolutely right. David Benavidez deserved to fight Canelo, but Canelo doesn't want to fight him because he knows there's a greater chance of him losing versus Benavidez versus Bigger Charlo. And so that's what, now, am I going to go see if it happens, Bud Crawford? Oh, absolutely. We'll be there, Stephen A. We'll see Bud Crawford and Canelo. And I want to see that fight. But I would rather see him fight Benavidez. I agree with
Daniel Jacobs took a measured approach in breaking down the technical qualities of both fighters before sharing his perspective. He acknowledged Canelo Alvarez's power, experience, and proven durability against heavy punchers like Gennady Golovkin. However, Jacobs argued that Terence Crawford brings a unique and advanced arsenal that makes him far more unpredictable. Crawford's ability to switch styles mid-fight, and sharp reflexes allow him to confuse opponents and neutralize their strengths. Jacobs emphasized that Canelo's toughness alone won't be enough, as Crawford's speed, precision, and tactical intelligence present an entirely different challenge. In Jacobs' view, Crawford's versatility and superior skill set give him the ultimate advantage, leading him to favor Crawford as the more likely victor in this match.
For instance, when he fought the guy that he lost to just recently.
Bivol,
yeah. Shout out to Bivol. He wasn't really able to find that niche there, but in spurts you can see him adapting, right? And so the biggest difference between Bivol and Crawford is the size difference in the power. Even though Bivol was an ultimate boxer, he still was able to keep him off him with the sheer power and strength. But with Crawford, I think that it'll be challenging for Canelo to get around the skill set, but it wouldn't be challenging for him to be able to endure the pain. And so that's what Canelo, because the mindset too is, if you can't hurt me, no matter what you do, I'm going to keep coming forward. So if Canelo can adapt that mindset, take the shots, because he's going to be throwing, and if you look at the stats too, in terms of punch output, in terms of landing punches, like just the whole stat, Crawford is leading. And so I do think that it's a tough fight, but I will lean more towards Crawford simply of his skill set.
Is this the biggest fight for his legacy? If obviously he wins, I think yes. Yeah. I think it would be the biggest win. But given the fact that a lot of people I think expect Canelo to win because of the weight, where do you rank this in comparison to that huge fight with Errol Spence?
So if Canelo wins, it would be one of his most top tier wins. But it would also be expected, so I don't know if it would take the umph off of it, rather the other way around, because of the size difference and what all Canelo has been accomplishing for the last however many years,
Victor Oladipo highlighted what he sees as Terence Crawford's defining quality: his ability to inflict serious damage without relying solely on raw power. He explained that Crawford's timing and pinpoint accuracy allow him to land punches opponents rarely anticipate, which makes them far more punishing than they appear. Oladipo argued this skill gives Crawford a major edge against Canelo Alvarez. While Alvarez is durable, he can be strategically outmaneuvered by disciplined fighters who refuse to get lured into reckless exchanges. Crawford thrives in such situations, maintaining patience until the perfect openings arise. For Oladipo, This unique blend of ring intelligence, composure, and damaging precision separates Crawford from most fighters, reinforcing his belief that Crawford has the advantage and is the likely winner.
To put that pressure on himself. He's done what no one's ever done before. 2-time undisputed world champion. So why not just enjoy? But obviously you want to go for that next challenge. Now for him, he wants to go for that Canelo. I would advise him not to go for that. But if he's the man and he knows how good he is himself. So I can't really say to him that do this or do that. So really,
he believes in his skills. He
believes in his skill. We can't answer for him. We let him go and do it. You know what I'm saying? And we all might be wrong. He might be even stronger than Canelo. He might pack the weight on well. He might do really well in there. So look,
you want them both. Like, what are the differences between them? Obviously, he's
Canelo's strong and he's easily hit. Very easily hit, very easily. Compared to when I fought against Crawford, I couldn't even hit clean. So really, that's the difference. And they both hit hard because, and you can see the strength. You know, when I was fighting against Crawford, I didn't think Crawford was that strong, but when he kind of moved me around a little bit, he is very strong as well. So look, yeah, but why does he need to give that much away? He's pound for pound #1 in the world. Why does he have to go for fighting Canelo?
He won't
prove anything.
Canelo would say payday, but Crawford wants to be 3-time undisputed. And if he does that, oh my goodness.
I mean, that'll be unreal. But look, if he believes in himself, yes, go for it. But don't do it if he's got second thoughts. If he's got second thoughts, don't do it. If he has to be 100% confident, and listen, I'll even go and help him for that if I have to. You know what I mean? Because look, I love Crawford. I think he's a lovely guy. Because I got to know him when I trained with him away from the boxing ring, away from boxing, and the guys he's a diamond. You know what I mean? So if I can help him in any way, I'd love to do that. But look, but if I was him, just enjoy what you've got now, and don't take no risks.
I think you just got to watch the Bivol blueprint, the in and out. I mean, a lot of fighters getting stick now for being runners, Tom and Jerry and whatnot. Let's stick to what you're good at.
Boots Ennis praised Terence Crawford's efficiency in the ring, noting that every punch he throws serves a clear and calculated purpose. Unlike many fighters who waste energy on unnecessary flurries, Crawford is deliberate, choosing when and how to strike with precision. Ennis emphasized that this discipline showcases Crawford's exceptional boxing IQ, enabling him to maximize accuracy and impact while conserving stamina. By carefully managing his output, Crawford limits countering opportunities for opponents and steadily wears them down over time. This approach makes him especially dangerous in long fights, where his control and patience allow him to break rivals systematically. Ennis believes these qualities will be vital against a seasoned fighter like Canelo, where even the smallest edge can decide the outcome.
People understand, he can box and he's smart.
Yes.
He don't waste no punches, man. He don't waste no punches. And he really is smart, man, when it comes to the boxing game. But it was me and I'm training him.
Yeah.
I would have him frustrating Canelo. What I would do with him, I would hit him with some good shots, combination shots, but you know, Canelo got to be set.
That's right. That's right.
You know what I mean? If what you call Crawford boxing move, he don't like nobody to boxing move. And that's what I think Crawford's going to do.
Diego Pacheco offered a balanced breakdown, recognizing both Canelo Alvarez's and Terence Crawford's possible paths to victory. He noted that Crawford's sharp technique, defensive awareness, and ability to control distance make him more likely to win by accumulating points over 12 rounds rather than stopping a fighter as durable as Canelo. Conversely, Pacheco emphasized Canelo's tremendous power, especially to the body, which always gives him a real chance of scoring a knockout if he lands clean. For Pacheco, this contrast defines the matchup: Crawford's precision and combinations versus Canelo's pressure and heavy hands. Ultimately, he believes the outcome depends on which man controls the pace and imposes his style.
Your thoughts on that Canelo versus Crawford fight? How do you see that fight going, and what's your prediction?
That's a very, very good fight. You know, two great fighters. I grew up admiring them my whole life, you know, so I'm excited for that fight. I think Crawford is a hell of a fighter. You know, if it goes the distance, he might be able to get that decision win. But I think if there's a knockout, then it might be Canelo who's getting a knockout win. But I'm I'm ready to watch the fight. You know, I'm going to be a big fan that night, and just be rooting for both guys. You know, they're both great fighters.
Ade Oladipo reflected on the arc of Canelo Alvarez's career, pointing out that while the Mexican superstar remains one of boxing's elite, he is no longer the seemingly unstoppable force he once was. Oladipo highlighted Canelo's rematch with Gennady Golovkin in 2018 as the peak version of Alvarez, when his blend of power, skill, and confidence looked untouchable. But that was 7 years ago, and since then, though still successful, Canelo's performances have shown gradual signs of decline. He suggested that sparring with young, hungry fighters like Jaron "Boots" Ennis may be Canelo's way of recapturing sharpness that has naturally faded with age. This raises an important question. Is Canelo's current form enough to withstand Terence Crawford, who is performing at the absolute height of his powers? For Oladipo, experience alone may not offset diminished athleticism.
Fought a very, very good Canelo. I don't think that Crawford is fighting the best Canelo. Again, the Canelo I'm talking about, I mean, second Golovkin fight, I thought was fucking incredible. That was... That feels like a long, long time ago. Second Golovkin fight was 2018. So I'm saying peak Canelo, although still very, very good people, peak Canelo for me was 6 years ago. It's a long time, 5.5 years, that's a long time. In fact, exactly 15th of September, so it'll be to the day 5 years. Have I got them? What was I talking about? Sorry, what was it? 7 years ago. Jeez, that's a long time ago. Where some might say peak Crawford was Errol. So, shit, I didn't realize how long ago that was. And he's clearly not that same guy anymore. He clearly isn't. He's no longer fighting elite fighters. I mean, unless you're going to say William Skull was elite, Edgar Berlanga, no, Ngia, no, Jamel, no, John Ryder, no, a third Golovkin fight, no. So he's no longer fighting the best, but he still is very good, and he's still a top 168 pounder. And I think this is why people are saying it is a 50-50 fight now, because we can see the deterioration in Canelo. Like, say what you want about William Skull. Canelo looked poor in that fight as well. Everyone's like, oh, William Skull ran. Well, Canelo didn't cut off the exits. Canelo wasn't great himself. Canelo's punch output was horrendous. So we can clearly see the deterioration. That said, he is the naturally bigger guy. I just mentioned the fact that Crawford's put on size, but the naturally bigger guy in this weight class is Canelo. That has to count for something.
Regis Prograis pushed back against the notion that Terence Crawford's power would trouble Canelo Alvarez. He argued that Canelo has already absorbed shots from naturally bigger, heavy-handed champions without showing real vulnerability, proving his reputation for having one of the strongest chins in boxing. Prograis stressed that Alvarez's durability makes him extremely difficult to hurt. Still, he didn't dismiss Crawford altogether, acknowledging that Crawford's tactical intelligence, sharp movement, and ability to make adjustments could allow him to outbox Canelo over the course of a fight. In Prograis' view, power alone won't be enough. Crawford must lean on skill, discipline, and strategy if he hopes to secure victory.
At first, I think that Crawford has the ability to outbox Canelo. You gotta look at it. And then Canelo's own. Crawford has the ability, but he's small, you know, and he can look bigger in. Crawford could look bigger in the weigh-ins and all that stuff, but it's always a difference. When you get in that fight with somebody, you can tell. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel fought him, the twin. He fought Crawford, and in all the stuff, the weigh-ins and the press conference, Jamel looked like the bigger man. You know, his head, his neck, everything looked bigger. But when they got in the fight, you can tell. You can see who really was the bigger man. And I think that's the same thing. Crawford is putting on weight, but it's not weight like Canelo had the weight already. He doesn't have to put on muscle. He doesn't have to do that. He's already big like that. But I think that Crawford does have the style. He does have the style to beat him. If you look at the people that beat him or gave trouble, Erislandy Lara, Austin Trout, Floyd, and Bivol. You know, they gave him trouble and stuff like that. And Skull moved around a little bit too. So I think that Crawford has that, but I don't know how Crawford is gonna respond when he gets hit. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel was undisputed at 154, and Canelo hit him and shit. Jamel was like, hell no. Jamel took a knee. You know, so it's a big difference. And Crawford had that one fight at 154, and he didn't, you know, Madrimov would touch him up a little bit. And this is not This is nowhere close to matching off. This is, you talk about Canelo. Now, if it was just another bigger guy, I would go with Crawford. But you talk about great. This might be, I mean, people might kill me for it, but well, not really, but this might be the best Mexican fighter ever. One of them, at least, right? You talk about Canelo and Crawford going up against him. So the only thing they have, but I would say the only thing he has going for him is he's a skillful fighter, and Canelo is old.
Crawford's trainer emphasized that conditioning will be a decisive factor in the matchup with Canelo Alvarez. He argued that if Canelo begins to tire or lose sharpness as the fight wears on, Crawford's superior speed will allow him to seize control. Known for thriving in the later rounds, Crawford often raises his intensity just as opponents start to fade, landing crisp counters while evading return fire. His quickness and timing make him especially dangerous when rivals show the slightest decline in energy. The trainer warned that against a fighter as precise as Crawford, even a small drop in movement or reflexes can prove costly. This puts added pressure on Canelo to maintain a relentless pace, a difficult demand at this stage of his career.
At the fight, watch. And he usually slows down between 6 and 7. You slow down, that's a fucking wrap.
That's what you've been seeing in these last couple fights from him?
Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah. I've seen him slow down going into the later rounds, and I've seen his ass get outboxed.
Brian McIntyre, and I will say this openly, is one of the best trainers in boxing. He absolutely knows his job, and I know he knows his job better than I know his job. So take my observation with a grain of salt. However, sometimes I get these things right, and I think that Brian McIntyre is making a miscalculation. Now, what do I mean? He basically said that one of the biggest advantages that Terence Crawford has over Canelo Alvarez is that Canelo Alvarez slows down, and that he says that after round 6, round 7, that Canelo Alvarez usually starts slowing down, and if he slows down against Terence Crawford, that is going to be a very, very huge mistake, and Terence Crawford is going to be able to take advantage of that. All right, first and foremost, let me say this. If it was the case that Terence Crawford was fighting Canelo Alvarez at 147 pounds, or even at 154 pounds, and Canelo Alvarez started slowing down, that definitely could be very, very big trouble against a guy like Terence Crawford, because Terence Crawford is an incredible counterpuncher, and if you show him any...
Teddy Atlas delivered one of the strongest endorsements of Terence Crawford's chances, describing him as a complete fighter with the discipline, adaptability, and mental toughness to beat anyone, even when moving up in weight. Atlas argued that Canelo Alvarez is no longer the hungry fighter he once was, suggesting that years of fame and success have softened his edge. He went further, labeling Canelo overrated compared to Crawford and pointing to recent performances as evidence of decline, reinforcing his belief in Crawford's superiority.
Again. Well, you can agree again. It's up to you, whatever. But he's made so much money that the urgency's not there, the fire's not there. At least it wasn't there a week ago. At least I'd say that. It wasn't there a week ago. Maybe it'll be there now. Maybe he's the kind of guy that, and I get it, that at this point in their career, it has to be a big fight to get up. That Canelo can't get up for these fights. He couldn't get up for that fight. All right. If you want to go down that road, go ahead. But my road is still possible. That he got old, that just doesn't have that fire no more. Oh my God, I'm going to say this one. That maybe he's a little overrated. I listen, I know he's tremendous. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? If you look at some of his biggest fights, the fights where you had to be great to win, that you fought great fighters or near great fighters. You know, you could make the argument that he lost the first Triple G.
Jose Vargas Jr., having shared sparring rounds with Terence Crawford, offered an insider's perspective on the matchup. He praised Crawford's sharpness and accuracy but questioned whether his punches carry the kind of weight needed to hurt a fighter as durable as Canelo Alvarez. Vargas noted that Alvarez has already endured punishment from naturally bigger and stronger opponents like Gennady Golovkin and Sergey Kovalev without breaking down. Still, he acknowledged that power alone doesn't define boxing. Crawford's exceptional timing, consistency, and ability to disrupt rhythm can frustrate even the most powerful fighters. While Vargas doubts that Crawford's shots will deter Canelo's aggression, he admitted that Crawford's skill set could keep the fight close and potentially secure him a victory on points.
But Crawford, what work is left? What else is going to be done in camp?
You know, all we're doing is putting the final touches. I mean, I've been sparring Ron Ellis. I mean, this guy's a dog, bro. He's been getting me ready. I mean, he's been Canelo's sparring partner. Shout out to my guy Ron, man. He comes, tries to knock me out every single sparring. This guy fights at 68. Big dude, goes southpaw, and hits hard. So I know he fought Benavidez. So you know, he's a veteran. He's doing better in tactics in there, where he's not letting me rest in the clinch. He's making me work every second of every round. And I got something for Callum. I got something for the whole boxing world. And, you know, I feel you're just as good as your preparation. And we've been doing the road work. We've been doing the mountain work. I've been recovering hard. I've been getting my rest. You know, I haven't been drinking no dark soda.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned for more updates, and until next time.